friends. My name is Anand Poddar, and today I am going to explain about Indian Constitution, that is Unit 5, Session number 1. Let us go to the. So these are the contents: introduction to the Constitution, composition of the Constituent Assembly, salient features of the Constitution, preamble of the Indian Constitution, fundamental rights, fundamental duties, and directive principles of state policy. Let us go to the introduction to Constitution. Now, what does Constitution mean? So, Constitution of India is the supreme law of India. That is, why the Constitution was made here is to provide fundamental principles as well as establish the structure and provide duties to the citizens. Also, it is the longest written constitution of any sovereignty in the world. That is, Indian Constitution is the largest written constitution than the other countries. So it was adopted by Constitutional Assembly on 26 November 1949, but it was came into effect on 26 January 1950. So it is called as Republic Day. So with this adoption, as you know, it celebrates 26 January every year as Republic Day. Now when we go for the composition of Constitutional Assembly. So before independence, the Constituent Assembly was constituted in the year November 1946 under the scheme which was formulated by the Cabinet Mission Plan. So at that time the total strength of the assembly was 385. Out of this, 292 were elected by the elected member of British India and other 93 members were from the princely states. So each province and princely states were allotted seats in proportion to their respective population. So at that time, Dr. B.N. Rao was the constitutional advisor of the assembly. Now, at that time, the first meeting of the Constitutional Assembly was held on 9th December 1946, in which Dr. Sachidanand was the president of it. And in the year 1946, on December 11, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as its president. So there are 13 committees for framing the constitution. So in all the committees, in that the main committee was formed for drafting the constitution, that is to form the constitution. So the committee which was responsible for forming the constitution was called as drafting committee. It was formed on 29th August 1947. Now next topic will go here is salient features of constitution. Now there are some features of our Indian constitution. So the first one is lengthiest written constitution. It means the constitution of India, it is the lengthiest of all. That is, when compared to the other country, India has the largest written constitution in the world. So it is more elaborate and detailed document. Second one is partly rigid and partly flexible. Means the constitution of India is neither purely rigid or purely flexible. This means some parts or some articles in the constitution can be changed and some laws can't be changed. So it is called as partly rigid and partly flexible. Third one is democratic republic. Now, what do you mean by democratic republic is here the ministers are chosen by the people. That is, the ministers are elected by the people of India. So it is called as a democratic country. So here representatives are elected on the based on universal right, means representatives are elected by the people of India. Fourth one is parliamentary system of government. Now what is this parliamentary system of government? So in the parliamentary system of government was found in Britain. So here President of India in this structure, President of India remains in office for 5 years. That is, President of India will be term for 5 years and he will be the constitutional head of the country with the Union Council of Ministers and Prime Ministers at the head. That is, the head of the parliament will be President of India, but the control and the working will be done by the Prime Ministers and Union Council of Ministers with Prime Ministers at the head. Fifth one, we go for federation. So what is federation? So Article 1 of the Constitution says that India is a Bharat and shall be the union of states. So federation is nothing but India is a union of states, that is a collection of states will form a India. So a state is federal when there are two sets of government and there is a distribution of power between two. That is, in India we say there are two sets of government, that is the state government as well as union government. So there is a distribution of power between two. So there is a written constitution which is the supreme law of the land. Sixth one, that is fundamental rights. So Constitution of India affirms the basic principle that every individual is entitled to join certain basic rights. That is, there are some rights which are written in the Constitution, so every citizen of India should should have the fundamental rights. Seventh one, directive principles of state policy. So this policy is same as that of fundamental rights, except these are written in the state policies other than the union policies. So these principles are in the nature of directives to the government. It is used for establishing social and economic democracy in the country. Eighth one here is fundamental duties. So there is a new part, article part 4a and a, after the directive principle of state was incorporated in the constitution by the 42nd amendment. So fundamental duties are same as that of rights. So there are some duties that are written. Ninth one is secular state. Now secular state means every people of India has their own right to worship according to their own religion. That is, a secular state is neither religious nor irreligious. That is, it makes no discrimination between individual on the basis of religion. So India has all kinds of religion. It does not make any discrimination between the based on the religion. 10th one is independent judiciary. Now here independent judiciary, there is a central Supreme Court of India which stands at the apex of single integrated judicial system. So it is an independent control which acts as the protector of fundamental rights. So if any of the fundamental rights are changed by the state, so Supreme Court can take the action. Next one is single citizenship. So some of the countries, each one of the any of the persons may have dual citizenship in one country, but in Constitution of India recognize only a single citizenship. So if we are a citizen of India, to whichever respective state we belong, we are only called as a citizens of India, not as a citizens of state or country. We are only called as a citizens of India. 12th one is emergency. So there are three types of emergency. First one, it's called as national emergency. So national emergency is done on the ground of war or external aggression. So if there is a war going on between two countries, so emergency will be declared in the entire country. So in this emergency, all over the country will be closed. So no person should roam in the area. So all the people should be inside a house. Next one is state emergency. So state emergency is also called as presidential rule. Now suppose if the states, one of the state fails to form its government, so until the government is formed, the president will be the head of that state. When the government will be formed, then the chief minister will become the head of the state. Until then, that state will be called as state emergency, means the president will rule the state until the state forms that government. Next one is financial emergency. Now financial emergency declared on the ground of threat to financial stability and credit of India, means if the country has less stability to in financial, so what it does is, so during this emergency the central government becomes all powerful and stores go into the total control of the center. So and at this time the control is taken by the central government for all the states. Next one we go for preamble of the Indian Constitution. So objectives of the Constitution. So what is this preamble of these are the objectives of the Constitution, which are not separately specified in the Constitution. So the meaning of preamble according to Krishnaswamy Iyer is, it is a sort of introduction to the statute and many very helpful to understand the policy. So it is a kind of objectives, or you can say an oath. So the objectives here is first one, to represent we the people of India have solemnly resolved to Constitution of India. Second objective is to represent the social, economic and political justice to all citizens. Third one is to represent liberty of thought. So this is one of the preamble that is written in the original constitution. That is, we the people of India have solemnly resolved to Constitution of India, sovereign democratic republic and secure all citizens, means it should protect all the citizens. Second one is justice, providing social, economic and political justice. Third one is liberty, that is liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Equality, that is each of people is giving equality based on irrespective of the caste or religion. Next one is fraternity, that is assuring the dignity of the individual as well as unity of the nation. So after the preamble we go for next, that is fundamental rights. So these rights are done for the people of the country. So India has certain fundamental rights where each person will be having compulsory having these rights. So these are nothing but as basic rights to a citizens of a country. So it is called as fundamental rights. So first one is right to equality. So what is meant by right to equality? That is first equality before law. That is no person is above the law. So all the persons in the India, whether it is high or low, he should not be above. He is not above the law. Law means you can say it as a central government or judiciary. Next one is prohibition of discrimination on certain grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. So he may be of any religion. All are given equal rights. Next one is equality of opportunity. So opportunity in the employment is given to all the people irrespective of his religion, caste, background, place of birth or residence. So equality of opportunity in employment is given to all people irrespective of his background. Second one is right to freedom. Now right to freedom means first one, right to freedom of speech and expression, that is to assemble peacefully and form associations or union to move freely out throughout India. So suppose your people, one of the person remains in is studying in one state and he wants to go to the another state, so he has the freedom to go to any part of India. Nobody can stop him, and he can do any profession or carry any occupation whatever he likes. So he has the freedom to speak as well as freedom to express his views. Next one, protection of life and personal liberty, that is no person shall be taken away from his personal life or personal liberty. Third one is right against exploitation. Now, what is this right against exploitation is? First one is prevention of human trafficking and forced labor. That is, this problem is happening in India. That is human trafficking. That is, some of the people are forced to beg around the streets and collect the money. So this is one of the rights. Second one is prohibition of, that is eliminating the this prohibition of employment of children below the age of 14 years. That is, some of the childs which are below the 14 years are not allowed to work in any of the factory or any of the companies or any other hazardous activities. So this is one of the rights, that is no children below 14 is allowed to work in any of the factory or hazardous activities. Fourth one is right to freedom of religion, that is each other person has a right to follow any religion according to his wish. B1 is freedom for attending religious instruction, that is a person shall attend any religious instructions, that is he can attend any religious functions according to his will. Nobody can stop him. So after fundamental rights, we go to fundamental duties. So first one is it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to follow the constitution and to respect its laws. So this is the first duty, that is every person has to follow the laws. Next, the citizens of India must be attached and follow the noble ideas. So whatever noble ideas is there should be followed by the citizens of India. So every Indian must protect the unity and integrity of India. Every Indian is expected to defend the country and give service to the nation when called upon to do so. So every Indian should promote a common brotherhood among all the people of India. That is, every person should have brotherhood among in spite of religious, linguistic and religious diversities. So each of the person should not fight among each others in spite of religious diversities. The last topic we'll go for is directive principles of state policy. So, what are the directive principles of state policy? So, it are the aims and objectives to be pursued by the central and state governments. So, these policies are same as fundamental rights. So, it contains the definition of the state, the duty of the state to apply directive principle of state policy in making laws, and obligation to provide livelihood to all citizens. That is, it should provide equal work and equal pay and health to all the workers. And fourth one is social order based on justice. Thank you. Thank you.